Hello. We are back for our, nighttime edition of the Patriots Only Please podcast because we have now fallen back. And so,
Yes.
it gets, night, dark at the crack of 4 o'clock. So
We're here in the desert too, so we're used to a lot of sunlight. So I really feel it, man. It's really like half a day almost. Like it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty dramatic here in the desert.
I'm not
out
into
west.
it. Yeah, I've never been a fan. I've never really been a fan. It's kind of a downer. It's kind of a bummer. But the lovely part about all of this is that the thing that I get to wake up to that brightens my day is the fact that we won the election, and Trump's assembling quite the team. Some are calling it his little, Avengers here. But before we start, of course, obviously, as you know, we are the Patriots Only Please podcast. Please join us at patriotsonlyplease.com. And if you are so keen to like and subscribe and follow us, we are at Patriots Only Please on all of the socials everywhere. All right. Ding, ding. Let's get started here. So give me your assessment. It's been a pretty busy week. I mean, as far as like president-elect transition teams go, I mean, they've been hitting the ground running.
Yeah, I think no one more than Trump understands how limited his time is. He's going in as a lame duck president, but he's also going with a whole lot of knowledge about DC he did not have in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows exactly who he wants for the jobs. He's appointing them quickly. He's putting the world on notice. I mean, he's essentially, right? I mean, you see these videos he's posting. He's letting not only the world, but the education department, universities. I mean, he's posting these videos that are hard-hitting, straightforward Trump, like, hey, I'm done campaigning. No more rallies. No more pom-poms. It's time to get down to business. And we got a lot to do. So get out of the way, Yep. RFkj Jr. had this amazing tweet that PBD read on his show last night, talking about how as the maga, he's been officially named I'm not sure the exact title, but he's going to be overseeing all of the agencies that have anything to do with health in our country. And Trump has tasked him within this is an incredible ask, by the way, but within 2 years, he would like for RFkj Jr. to make a dent in childhood obesity and diabetes. Because right now, as we're having this conversation, 77% of teenagers are pre-diabetic.
Sure.
And you say sure, but me too. But like RFkj Jr. said in the tweet, when he was a child, when he was growing up, most doctors, 40, 50-year careers would see 1% maybe of those things, obesity and or diabetes. Now, more than half of every teenager that walks into a doctor's office is obese and pre-diabetic. That's a crisis. So it's a big deal. And in the same tweet, RFkj Jr. is picking up some of, I think, Trump's gusto. He ended it with saying to all the folks who work in these agencies, I have two things to say to you. Preserve your documents and pack your bags.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, he's coming out strong. I mean, just the appointees. I mean, if we can here, let me see if I can find the latest list of appointees.
Please.
Yeah,
thank you.
Go ahead.
I'd love to see it because Trump's moving very fast.
He is moving very, very fast. I mean, just today they announced Matt Gaetz as his nomination for Attorney General, which is a huge pick. Finally, Tulsi Gabbard. I was wondering, because the CIA director position had been filled and Secretary of Defense with Pete Hegseth was filled. So I was wondering, where could Tulsi fit in? And it was just announced today that our next Director of National Intelligence will be Tulsi Gabbard. So, I mean, so far, he's
very loyal. He's a very loyal guy, and he returns loyalty, and also to people who deserve it. These are all vetted career professional politicians. So, he's doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
Congratulations to Tulsi.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was really nice to see. I'm very happy to see Elon and Vivek forming the Department of what is it? The Department of Government.
DOGE, baby, Doge.
The Dogecoin. Yes. So
Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Me too.
Absolutely
Me too.
incredible. I mean, they're going to cut so much waste. Well, the idea is that they're going to cut so much waste, and both of them. I think that is a great position for both of them, because they're both business leaders. They both know how to run companies. They can certainly, again, it's people from the real world doing real world things, and finally the party is over with all of this wasteful government spending and all of these bureaucrats holding these 6 and 7 figure jobs. You know what I mean? Like what I was reading, I heard some statistic. I don't even know if it's true, but I mean there's some statistic, something like like there's more $1 million homes in DC than any city or combined, or however that shakes out. But again,
sure.
I could grossly misinterpreting that.
You mean per capita, essentially?
Yeah. But the point is, it's like for a city that doesn't produce anything except just bureaucracy, and like there's nothing that actually originates really from there. Where is all this money just funneling into that? It's all on the backs of the taxpayers.
Well, ironically, we just saw that in Kamala Harris's failed campaign. She paid everybody. She paid everybody to pretend they liked her, literally to the tune of millions. She paid Oprah Winfrey, a billionaire, $1 million to sit down and have an interview with her. Like, Oprah needs $1 million, but you know what? Oprah's time is valuable. They're not friends, and she's like, now Trump. Again, so what I'm getting at is cronyism. That's why there's so many mentions in DC. That's why there's so many millionaires. That's why Kamala Harris's $1 billion, she burned through it, because it's about payoffs, paying people off, cronyism. Vivek didn't ask for a penny. Elon is richer than Trump. I mean, these are people that love our country, And Charlie Kirk made a point of saying this, that all the rallies they've done around the country, beginning to end, no one asked for money. They might have asked to have some travel expenses reimbursed, maybe, but not performance, not appearance fees, and not like, you want me to show up for 15 minutes, that's $100,000. None of that stuff. Just cover hard costs, maybe, if they needed it. Most of them didn't even need that, because they're true patriots. They love the country, and they believed in what Trump's trying to do. Democrats, flip that and reverse it. Cronyism, kickbacks. Hey, I help you, you help me. I'll take. Imagine being a donor. Imagine being someone who believed in Kamala Harris enough to give her your money, and to know that Meg Thee Stallion got $5 million to spill curse words and act. I mean, just think about that. Yeah,
fumble her way through some sort of a speech, and Beyonce getting however much she made, and Oprah and all these people. It's ridiculous.
10 million.
Yeah, to show up for 6 minutes.
Beyonce got $10 million.
Yep, and then and just to have people walk out because they were pissed, and then Kamala raising what $1 billion in her campaign with all these celebrity donors, and still end up with a $20 million deficit. That is government waste in action for you there.
Well, 100%, and it's also the people rejecting that waste and saying, you're the sitting vice president, you have the entire legacy media behind you, you have the Biden name behind you, you're Biden's vice president, Biden's a sitting president. None of that meant anything to anybody, because the economy sucks. We have endless wars around the world. Our borders are wide open, and the Democrats talk more and care more about transgender people than they do about anything else.
Yep,
they're completely out of touch with the American electorate and with American taxpayers. They deserve to lose. But Kamala's campaign is an example of why she failed, of why the Democrats are the wrong fit for America right now. We're tired of this. We're tired of the cronyism, the kickbacks, the payoffs, let's take your money and give it to anyone else that we think will get us votes and power.
And they're already turning on each other. I mean, they're already publicly, pointing the fingers, blaming, Bernie's, feuding with Pelosi, and they're, and Jon Stewart's calling people out, and Bill Maher's been calling out a lot of the idiocy and the wokeism for a long time now. So it's I hate to kind of revel in this stuff, but it once again proves our point that they're willing to eat their own just to advance their agenda. This is an interesting little meme that I pulled up here, if you can see.
I can see it.
Liz Wheeler. Now, this was obviously president-elect for 2 days, so this was just a couple of days after the election.
Sure.
But
Sure.
this is just a list of President-elect Trump's accomplishments 2 days after the election last week. Stock market hits a record high. Migrant caravan at our border dissolves. Hamas calls for the end to war. Bitcoin hits record high. Putin ready to end Ukraine war. Qatar kicks out Hamas leaders. EU will buy U.S. gas, not Russian gas. Putin will sell oil in U.S. dollars. Zelensky phones Trump and Elon. New York City mayor ends vouchers for illegals. Mexico to stop migrants at U.S. border. China wants to work peacefully with us. Big U.S. company to move out of China. I repeat, Trump has been elected for 2 days. I mean, and since then, there's been all these appointees. And today, just today alone, Trump and Biden met. And for those who haven't seen the picture, Biden's got looks like the happiest man on earth for, probably just because everything's all over, but
he's at the end of his career. He's 82 years old. He's at the end of his career. He's a lifelong Democrat. He was a company man till the end, and the company kicked him out and installed Kamala, and it completely backfired. And he knew it would. I'm sure he told them that it would, and I'm sure they didn't pay attention to him. And he's, sort of not sour. What's the opposite of sour grapes?
Well, I mean,
you know what I mean?
He was pretty sour grapes about it. I mean, and there's also
he was sour grapes. He was sour grapes about this. He was sour grapes about the bait and switch. But now he's humble pie, whatever it is. He realized it wouldn't work. And when they finally figured out, holy cow, we're a week out, and there's no way she can win. There's nothing they could do. So shame on them for not having a primary. Shame on them for moving this far to the left. Shame on them for blaming regular Americans for not supporting their endless wars and their social engineering, wokeness, and open borders, and thinking, they really don't care about Americans.
No,
they don't listen. They're obviously to lose this badly means you're not listening at all.
Yep. Yeah. And a few days after the election, we were still seeing states, because finally now the dust has begun to settle from the actual election, because now we're, over a week now out. So today's Wednesday, the election was last Thursday. So they've had a week and a day, which is normally where, as stupid as it is, it shouldn't take this long. But I mean, it's taken this long for Arizona and even some parts of Nevada to get everything. And we took a few losses in some seats. It was unfortunate to see Kari Lake lose again in Arizona. It was disappointing to see Sam Brown lose in Nevada. I mean, but look, I mean, hopefully with this new cabinet that Trump is assembling, they're going to get to the bottom of some of these, election issues. Now, the Kari Lake situation, I have a friend out in Arizona. I know a lot of people in Arizona, but one of my friends who's pretty politically literate was saying how, he doesn't necessarily question the results of the Kari Lake campaign, because there was some local dust-ups with like during the primaries. So there's a lot of people that were unhappy with Kari Lake beating this other candidate in the primaries, and so that might have been enough to kick that over. So there's always local politics issues that we don't necessarily know about when we're just kind of getting our news from this bird's eye view of like the national election and how the states affect the national election. So you never know what's going on. Like, for example, I happen to remember during the Nevada primary that Sam Brown wasn't necessarily all that popular in the party. And, and there was a lot of people that had their issues with Sam Brown. So you never know. Like, we can look at the elections and go, how can all these people vote Trump and then not necessarily support the candidates down ballot? But there's also a lot of inter-party, squabbles and things like that.
There is. And I think a lot of people, probably first-time voters or non-politically literate voters, might have just voted for Trump Vance and throw the ballot in the thing and walked away. I mean, Trump is larger than life, man. So like, we got to get this guy in, and the rest of it, I'm going to go back to work now, and we're going to go gamble again. We're in Las Vegas, but I mean, we got Trump in a big way, but the down ballot people didn't. Trump is such a bright light. He kind of sucks the light and the oxygen out of the country. So I kind of feel bad for anyone running to get anyone's attention when he's also on the ballot. It's like, I'm going for Trump. Let's get lunch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give a whole the ballot. As long as we get Trump in there, it'll be fine. Just part of that. I mean, that could be some of it too.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely agree. Well, hey, look. Speaking of the cabinet as it stands right now at 5:05 in the p.m. on Pacific Standard Time, November 13th, 2024, when we're dropping this episode, which means that since I just outed us on the date, I got to drop this episode tonight. Yeah, more work for me. Kidding. Happy to do it. So we've got VP J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, which is kind of a questionable. So let me get your thoughts on little Marco. As the Secretary of State, who is kind of been traditionally known as a bit of a neocon, kind of a war hawk. What are your thoughts on Marco Rubio in that pick?
I think the pick might have been sort of his ethnic background. He's a Spanish speaker. He's not, you know what I mean? I think maybe he's more kind of a worldly person living in and being representing a district in Florida. I lived in Florida for 4 years. It's people from all over the world. I think there's more to it than that. I think only Trump really knows the reason. But I mean, Marco Rubio, in terms of what he's a 4-term senator, he's been around for a long time. So he's vetted. He's never, he knows how government works. He knows how to get things done. And he's done a great job in Florida getting, for conservative causes for a long time. And maybe again, Rubio showed Trump loyalty during the campaign. And he, Trump rewards loyalty, and there's got to be a reason that. I think it'll be. Do you think he'll get confirmed? Okay,
I think that with the announcement today of the Senate Majority Leader, who was Thune, Representative, Senator Thune, who was basically McConnell's pick. I think that he's certainly a long time entrenched rhino. So he's there. Look, Trump congratulated him. I think Trump's going to go in there, willing to kind of extend the olive branch a little bit and play ball. But, people know what his agenda is. He's made it very clear what he wants to do. So you're either on board or you're not. You're either, So that's. That will remain to be seen. But looking at the rest of his nomination. So the answer to that question is, I think any of his nominations, anyone on this list, is going to certainly have to deal with a bit of an uphill battle. Certainly, Matt Gaetz is going to get a lot of pushback because he wasn't very popular in his own in the House because he was fighting against. What was it, McCarthy? So,
he's been extremely like Josh Hawley. He's been extremely outspoken about going after the Democrats constantly, as they deserved it. Cabinet members, everyone. So he's definitely he pushes a lot of buttons. But I agree with. I like him too, because he's pushing the buttons that I agree with. I agree with him on those issues, but he's super conservative, super Trump, and I think it remains to be seen. But I think Thune was like the insider's choice.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. He was McConnell's. McConnell's poster boy. So we'll see. But we've got Pete Hegseth. So here's the thing about Pete Hegseth. For a second. Look, like a lot of people, I mostly know him through Fox News. He's been on Fox News for years now at this point. So he's a pretty, well-known personality there. So of course I knew his background, but I didn't realize the extent of his background. So when the announcement came through, it was like, Pete Hegseth. Oh, okay. Well, I know he was a soldier, but then you do a little digging and he's like a Bronze Star,
big time.
He's 20 years in the military. He's
incredible.
So he's got a pretty impressive background. Wrote several books on and has obviously has been a voice on Fox for several years now at this point. So I think it's interesting that the left when that announcement was made. They said, "Oh, well, obviously, Trump's just going to fill his cabinet with a bunch of ass kissers from Fox," and that I think is being very disingenuous. Now, if you want to say, look, hey, 20-year veteran and Bronze Star, you know what I mean, and Harvard and Yale, or what is it, Harvard
right?
graduate,
those two, yeah.
So if you want to say, Pete Hegseth was nominated, and when he also happens to, be a part-time anchor on Fox for the last several years, like that's one thing. And you could say, look, I don't necessarily agree with that, but for you to just go out and say, like a lot of people in the left media are saying, oh, well, of course, Trump is just going to appoint some Fox News talking head, like he has no other accomplishments that make him qualified for that job, is very disingenuous.
Well, I would just say consider the source. These are the same people that anointed Kamala Harris, who had never won anything. She never won a primary. She's never been elected to anything of a national nature ever in her whole life. And in 3 months, she was supposed to beat Trump. I mean, and they believed that. But to the tune of $1 billion, they believed it. So I don't trust their instincts. I don't care about what they think. And the country's spoken up and said they don't care what they think either. So the Democrats really aren't in a position to be sanctimonious in any way about anybody. No, so I'm tuning them right out. I'm not even really paying attention.
Yeah. Well, we were saying. By
the way, I'm sorry, but Joe Biden had dementia for 4 years. Let's talk about not fit to serve, the most important job in the world, and everyone hid that on their side, including the legacy media. So again, consider the source, ignore them. That's my advice.
Absolutely. So we're looking at some appointees or nominees that are, obviously very encouraging. I'm cool with Matt Gaetz, Pete Hegseth, Kristi Noem. I mean, again, how well do you know him?
Well, but to your point, we've had this conversation off air more than once. We wanted her to stay the governor of South Dakota.
Yes.
But I think the way this, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the same thing with Marco Rubio. There's a Senate seat now in Florida that's going to be, but the governor gets to name that replacement.
I would not like to speak out of turn on that.
I know that they said they've already asked Ron DeSantis to pick someone to fill the spot for Rubio in Florida.
Okay.
But since Noem is the governor, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Well, I mean, does the lieutenant governor just step in at that point?
Maybe lieutenant. I think exactly. That's why there's same way there's a vice president. Maybe lieutenant governor just pops in, who's also Republican, who also has watched her work, will maintain her legacy in that state. Again, I think Trump has thought through all this stuff. I don't think he would replace people in places where he was vulnerable, where Republicans were vulnerable, and he thinks that she can be a valuable part of the team. Let's give it a shot.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, so far, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, Elise Stefanik, Ambassador to the United Nations. I mean, Mike Huckabee, Ambassador to Israel. Yeah. I mean,
it's pretty darn good, and it's people who are Trump loyal, but who are lovers of this country, and they've proven that in their private lives, professional careers, their credentials. They're patriots, man. And there's one thing I wanted to mention. There's one thing I wanted to mention from before when I was talking about RFK Jr.'s tweet. I didn't know this, but again, talking about health in this country and how unhealthy the United States is. And I'm not saying it to be disparaging. I love my country. I love Americans, but we have a weight problem. We have an obesity problem. We have an unhealthy population problem here. That's just the truth. This floored me. Almost 77 to 80% of Americans. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Are non-draftable. In other words, the military wouldn't be allowed to go into the military. And for the 20%, 25% who are physically fit enough to go through basic training and go through that kind of, half of them don't want to because of the whole woke, toxic masculinity. Wow, you know what I mean? So our military is really in a precarious position right now.
So Pete Hegseth has an uphill battle.
Yes.
try to
Yes.
make the military strong again.
Yep.
This was a significant thing that happened today. Trump and Biden met in the
leader of the
White House.
All right, let's go to this. Their meeting.
I mean,
looking forward to having like they said,
you can hear the
transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodating what you need. And we're gonna get a chance to talk about some of that today. So good. Welcome back.
Welcome
Thank
back.
you very much. And politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. A transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Jim.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
I wonder, Jeff, I wonder if when they shook hands, Trump gave him he gave one of the on the palm, a little index finger thing, like, hey, I got you.
Look at the ear-to-ear grin on old Joe right there. He's just like, I'm done. I can go home. I can go to the beach.
There's all those things, and I'm going to be very, very generous right now. And what if it's also a genuine joy for the country, because the country is clearly spoken. There's no mixed messaging. There's no 2016 aberration. He came out of nowhere. This guy beat them soundly. It's like when two fighters at the end of a fight, when one guy gets knocked out and the other guy hopefully able to at least give the interview afterwards, like when he clears his head and go, he was the better man tonight. I take my hat off to him. I trained for 8. I did but he knocked the shit out of me. So he's the winner.
Yeah.
It's that face to me too. Like, he beat the crap out of us.
Yeah.
Decisive mandate. I'm looking at something on Reuters right now. It's 12 hours old, but it's an update on the state of the House.
Oh.
Okay. As of 12 hours ago, Republicans had won 216 House seats, Democrats 207. 12 races remained uncalled. Either party needs 218 to form a majority. If a House win would give the Republicans across-the-board powers. Meaning House, Senate, executive office.
Yeah.
We need 2 seats to win. I think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, all the experts are saying we'll get 2 seats out of 12.
Let's hope. I mean, that talk about a mandate, at that point.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Well then, I mean, there you have it. Like, what?
The Avengers are assembling. Trump's assembling the Avengers. The country is coming together. The world leaders are saying, "Hey, we're ready to chat, man. Enough of this sitting on the sidelines."
Mm-hmm.
And the markets. By the way, I had a conversation with our financial advisor today. Jeff and I share one. Mr. Barkley. I'll just leave it at that. Gave me a great 10-minute. He wants to come on the show. He's got to clear with his compliance department at his company because he's a licensed everything. So for him to he can't give advice and all this stuff. But basically what he said was, markets like clarity. And what this Trump victory gives them, this landslide victory gives markets, is clear clarity on the direction of the country, on the direction of the economy. Trump's taxes were supposed to sunset in 2025. That's not going to happen now. So the tax cuts will remain. I know corporate taxes aren't going to go anywhere but down. And the market's already very excited about the future with the Trump presidency. So in a nutshell, what he said was, it's a really good time to be in the market and to be in this country because it's been a cloudy couple of years. That terrible jobs report, we saw in October, but that's all going to turn around, and the markets appreciate the clarity of this election, and they're responding in kind.
That is fantastic. So
and crypto as well. Crypto is also.
Yep, I noticed. Geez. Okay. Wow. Great.
I know.
So I did
great,
notice that. Wow, lovely.
I know.
Okay, cool. I'm just going to let it sit right there. So
exactly.
Things are certainly looking up by the day. I mean, there's it's funny. Yesterday, I was thinking, man, I really hope, because, Secretary of Defense was taken and the CIA director was taken and all these positions. I was thinking, oh, where's, and over the last few days, like, when are they going to officially announce Tulsi, and when are they going to officially announce Vivek and, and Elon and all these things? So now that those appointments are happening, it's getting really encouraging. So I have yet to see the official announcement for what that department looks like, but I'm obviously there is a department for that. So
no, there is. There is, and in his tweet, he said the name of it, but I don't remember the name of it. But essentially, his job is going to be to look over any agency that's anything to do with public health, FDA, NIH, tons of other ones, and go through all of them and kind of be the efficiency expert that Elon and Vivek are going to be for the entire government, just for policies that affect Americans' health, with the power to fire, with the power to take him to court, with the power to, the full power of the government behind him to go in there and do that, which, again, I think is phenomenal. It's long overdue. And he's going to find a lot of waste, and what he said also in that tweet that I can't repeat because it's a long tweet, but he knows exactly in the same way that Trump knows how he wants to approach the country, RFK Jr. knows how he wants to approach big pharma and Americans.
So I wonder if that's going to be like a different or separate kind of agency or department, kind of like a Doge is going to be right now, because it doesn't really exist, right? So there has to be kind of a, some sort of an agency to oversee the agency, or a department to oversee the agency. So again, there's going to be a lot of cutting, and there's going to be some adding, and there's going to be this is a whole shakeup of the political system. At least that's what it's looking like. And I think that's what people want. That's certainly what I think they voted for. And,
100%.
And again, like you said, Trump's got about 2 years, and I liked how what Trump said about the Doge with Vivek and Elon. He said, and basically, I'd like them to see the results by July 4th, 28 or 26, right? So that way we can deliver this efficiency right in time for our 250th birthday. So.
Exactly, and Elon and Vivek and Trump have pledged to be completely transparent. They're going to show us, like, I think on the WhiteHouse.gov on a website, like, this is what it is. This is what it should be. I mean, they're going to make it very, like, we're cutting this nonsense. So that'll be what a refreshing thing that'll be. And when Trump was president, remember when he made hospitals post their prices online? Yeah. And then the first thing Biden did was get rid of that, of course, but like, people, we should know these things. We're the ones paying the bills. We're the taxpayers, man. Like, we should know what's going on. We never know. Like, when we pay our taxes, if you even ask like a congressperson, where does it go? They go, well, it goes to the general fund. Then where does it go? Exactly. Well, that's a good question.
Yeah. Well, about 99% of it is basically a money laundering scheme that lines our pockets, which is why there are so many $1 million plus homes in DC.
And the rest of it's paying the interest on the debt that we're accruing for your children. So there you go. You're welcome.
So, in the words of Vivek Ramaswamy, shut it down, shut it all down. So, things are trending in the right direction. You and I are going to continue to keep a very close eye on these things, because, we are the source that, the pundits go to. Like, Tucker wouldn't have a show if it weren't for us. They follow every word we say. So, we're the guys behind the guy.
You know how there's writers' rooms for sitcoms? We're two guys in the writers' rooms. We're the fill-ins. We're the guys,
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Why not? Why not? So with that, if you guys want any more political merriment and mirth, just head over to patriotsonlyplease.com. Get on the mailing list. You can find out when we drop our next episodes. And you can also go take a listen back to some of our previous episodes. They were all interesting, especially during the election, where Mr. Soli was way more he was way more optimistic than I was, and so I proudly stand corrected on all of that.
Oh man, you were just reading the room, and it was a tough room to. When the party in power is the party in power, and the legacy media is trumpeting their every whim, every word, it's difficult to see through that. But can I say one final parting? And Charlie Kirk Charlie Kirk was the one that quoted the RFK Jr. tweet on the PBD shows. And he also said it about what the Trump campaign did was Kamala Harris was saying, how did we lose? We knocked on 15,000 doors a day in the last 2 weeks of the election. What Trump's campaign did was say, you know what, we're not going to focus on knocking on doors, because a lot of these people are already going to vote for me. How about we go to those same areas and find the people who think the way we do but don't vote? Let's harvest their votes. Let's turn what was Ronald Reagan's the quiet majority, the silent majority?
Yeah, the silent majority. Yeah.
Let's wake them up and get them to vote, and that's exactly what they did. And that turned out to be men, black men. It turned out to be women. I mean, ironically, the Democratic Party, the party that runs on race and gender, lost the race and gender vote to Trump. Is that a kick in the what?
Yeah. Yep. The women and minorities voted for Hitler.
They did, and Trump's strategy worked, because he's like, we could knock on doors, but we know from when I worked at the field office here in Las Vegas, they send you to Republican households just to remind them to vote. Like, let's not do that. Let's find the people who maybe lean right in the 2020 election or have been silent. Let's reactivate those folks and find people who've never voted that are on our side. They did that, and Charlie Point's Turning Point. I think they got 200,000 students to sign up, to register. Yep. I mean, he did a great job. Charlie Kirk did an amazing service to our country and to Trump, and I think that's how they won.
Yeah, absolutely. So where's Charlie's cabinet post? I don't know. We'll find out. He's still got a
full-time. He's got a full-time gig, and I think he'll always have Trump's ear. He can always pick up the phone and text him and call him. And I think he might be someone that Trump touts as like I don't know, not a cabinet position, but like an advisor. There's these people that are just advisors, like official White House advisor and that kind of thing, with that kind of clearance, but not on the cabinet. Because a cabinet position is a full-time gig. Yeah. If you're on the cabinet, you're working in DC, that's your gig. You know what I mean? So maybe, you know what I mean? That might have been a conversation where Charlie was like, I'm honored, Mr. President, but let me be your guy in the street. Let me be your guy floating around the country doing what I'm already doing, just with your personal backing, like you're as the president, thing.
Sure, absolutely.
Still a good gig.
All right.
Still a very good gig.
Oh, of course. Hopefully, something for us to aspire to. Although I don't think we'll make it there quite that quickly. But until then, please be sure to like and subscribe and follow us at Patriots Only, please, on all the socials, the TikToks and the YouTubes and the Facebooks and the Instagrams and all the things, all the places. All those things, then go check out.
Where else are you going to go? Where else are you going to go? Come on.
Well, there's a lot of places you're going to go. I mean, the same places we go, but that's okay, because, look, we're all one big Patriot family. So there you go. So yeah, please check us out and join the party at patriotsonlyplease.com. And we shall see you guys on the next one. Until then, keep trumping. And yeah,
keep trumping.
That you're saying? Keep trumping. All right.
Keep trumping. Thanks, Jeff.